All right, and the last but not least team member of Gremlins Incorporated, we have NickSilver. Tell us, what did you play this time?
I played Vaccine Armors.
Vaccine Armors.
It wasn't my list. It was someone else's list. But
Oh, was it his list?
No, it was his
Or
list.
was it the team captain's list?
Team captain's list. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's what I call a captain.
Yeah.
Oh, captain, my captain.
Oh yeah.
I guess we'll just talk about the matchups first. So round one was Red, Purple, Imperial, which it just wasn't fair. I'll be honest.
For them or for you?
For them, because
Oh.
I kept slamming Pillowmon turn one, so he couldn't do anything. Round two was Magna, Blue. The matchup wasn't really hard, just because. So in that matchup, in Vaccine Armors, I focused on the rapid side of it. So I would just melt the level 4 before they got a chance. Because a lot of times they'll pass turn, and I'm going to go into this, pass turn, whatever. So I would just raise up, do what I got to do, and then just try and get rid of it.
They're just leaving level 4s out here? That's crazy.
They were able to get out the level 6. The only problem was, by the time they did it, I already had Rapid X and Magna X sitting. So when they would swing, I would just block, and then they're -4.
Ah, yes. Good night, sweet prince.
Round 3 was 7 Demon Lords.
It's just an unfair matchup.
So then it's just...
So it's actually not easy. The only problem is I think Pokemon really does make the gameplay for them kind of awkward, especially when they focus on the options. Because I'll just have Magna and a pillow, and for some reason they just couldn't do anything.
That's fair. Most of their...
I'm sorry,
fair.
no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. The beginning half was Rapid and Pillow, and he couldn't do anything. The second half was the second half of the round was Magna focused.
That's fair. Psychmon being the number 1, with right behind it is Pillowmon as the number 2. Annoying Floodgate.
The last round for me was Numamon, and I'll be honest, I don't find a problem with that matchup. But then again, so the deck is very high rolly. I was just able to do it every time. They were never really able to keep board. Another thing I did that I'm pretty sure people wouldn't do is I stayed in the back for a turn. So instead of raising up his Patamon, I'll Digivolve over it. So when I come up, I just go straight into the 6, and they can't really handle that. I would just, so 9 times out of 10, it was just that's the one where you focus on Rapid, because they'll have a body, they'll have a full board. I'll just raise up Rapid, half the board is gone, and then I swing over like something else.
Understandable, understandable. Good way to answer wide boards. So let's see the deck that we used for this instance.
So your main egg in this build was Tokumon.
Toko.
So you really want to be able to find all your pieces very quickly. The faster you're able to find your pieces, the faster you're able to go into your 6, which is your main game plan. And because you run 2 different level 6s, it really gives you a variety as to what you can do. And then the 5th egg is Niaromon. Lets you trigger your Magnamon X whenever you would need to. There are some situations where you would have this egg, but it's just not being played or utilized because you don't need to trigger it before your actual attack. But when it comes up, it'll come up just extremely has an extremely powerful effect.
Not bad. Yes, this is the cheat code egg that causes yellow Magna X to be the real issue. Funny ratios. Normally you see it as opposite with 4 Niaro and 1 Toko, but seems to have done the job over the day.
Yep. And now we get into the main problem of yellow.
The meat and potatoes. Ah, yes.
Potato himself.
The boy himself. Speaking of potatoes.
If you play Yellow Vaccine, you gotta play Patamon. Just extremely strong. Lets you go into your 4s. No cost. You already know what value Patamon gives you. And it's really exemplified in this deck because of the high evo cost of the Rapidmons. And we'll get into the Inheritable, which comes up quite a bit later on. The other rookies we play are 4 copies of Kudamon. Really, your main searcher gives you essentially any card in the deck besides Patamon or your options. The Inheritable can come up, usually doesn't. But in a situation, later in the game, could possibly matter. And then 3 copies of Pillowmon. really there to stop Numemon, to stop any rogue decks that want to play all the Digimon by effects. Was considering Cutemon, however, play cost or Evo reduction is not really utilized this format. And this is all the rookies you play. You don't really need to focus on that many rookies because Patamon will simply do a lot of the work for you.
Fair lineup, especially with the Pillowmon. You do need to play around effects this meta.
So onto the fours, we play 4 copies of Starter Rapidmon.
Staples.
Yes. Your bread and butter armors, vaccine trait. Same thing with BT8 Rapidmons. Really there for the utility effect plus the name. Usually you want to see the starter deck Rapid, as the blocker can come up way more often than the suspending, but can be utilized for the DP minus, as opposed to Rapid, which would have to either block or attack to trigger it.
Yes, very good board control, especially since the blue variant does get to have starter deck Magna. This one has instead this, so the bouncing to hand to board clear is a very big difference.
And the DP increase can actually come up quite a few times, because normally in the blue Magnamon build, you would have the Demi Vmon to give you an extra 1,000, but in this case, the Rapidmon is the one that's giving you the extra bit of DP. And speaking of board control, we also play 2 copies of Gold Veedramon. The fact that this can stop an 8K essentially from blocking, because it'll give it -2 and it's done to 6K or less, comes up quite a bit, especially against something like Numemon, where they might have a Montamon with the blocker inheritable. So now you go, no, you cannot block, I'm going to continue to swing over. The fact that it's an armor with vaccine trait means you can Evo into it with the Patamon effect. Plus the fact that it's a 3-cost Evo actually matters quite a bit. There will be times where if this is what you have, you might want to keep the Patamon in the back or simply Evo over the Kurumon or Pillowmon, and use something later on to get into your Magnamon. And this is all the level 4s you run. You really don't hurt for level 4s in this deck, simply because you have access to both the hand and a lot of draw power. In terms of level 5s, we only play 4 copies of Magna Angemon Ace.
The best ace in the game.
Yes, I've seen people run Angemon Ace. I prefer Magna for 2 specific reasons, and that is you do not have to trash your security early in the game to trigger the effect, meaning it gives you an extra security to give you longevity, plus it'll trigger the Patamon effect plus the TK later on. And that memory that you gain can actually matter to getting you into your level 6 in a single turn.
We do like expediting our evos from a 3 to a 4 to a 5,
Yes.
all the way up into a 6.
And speaking of 6s,
The boy himself.
the star of the deck, Magnamon X. Everyone knows how broken this card is, but it's really exemplified in something like Vaccine, where because of one part of the card, it has found a home in a deck that it originally was not meant to be in. The fact that it has the Vaccine trait matters so much for this deck. It's searchable by Kurumon. It is able to be put in security through a TK, able to be evoed into with Emissary, and it's just really strong as your top end. Giving access to Armor Purge means that he has so much sticking power. Even if you evo over something like a Magnamon Ace, you know you're not going to immediately lose the stack. The other level 6 you run is 3 copies of Rapidmon X.
Ooh, 7 level 6s. But why does that matter when you could just escalate all the way up in a single turn?
So the fact that you ignore the level 5 with this card is the reason you only play 4 copies of Magnamon Ace. Specifically because having this out early on means that your opponent cannot get low to the ground aggro. Plus, it lets you out extremely high DP bodies by giving them -4K, along with the 1K that you might get from either the Rapidmon Heritable or the -5K that they got from this Rapidmon evolution. And then we play 1 copy of Venusmon. This comes up a lot in the mirror match because the immunity and unsuspend is an evil effect. You cut him off essentially with the Venusmon. Plus, this matters in other decks that might want to give you stuff that lasts until the end of your turn. Now you cut them off from activating those, and now you keep your stack even more safe. So 8 level 6s in this might seem like a lot, but the fact that you can filter out means that you're not really bricking unless that is your opening hand.
That's very true. That's very true.
And that's it for the Digimon. Next, we have 4 copies of TK, your main tamer. You want to see this as early on as possible, so you can get a guaranteed Patamon Evo. Plus, you will see him get so much value throughout the course of the game through a secondary Patamon line, through a secondary TK, through Magnamon Ace. Just the fact that he gives you a memory, not only when he himself is played, but as you do other actions throughout the match, means that you have so much value going on throughout the course of your turn. It pretty much says I can go from a 3 to a 6, and you can't do anything about it, no matter how low of a memory threshold you put me to.
Yeah, definitely one of the better yellow tamers that have ever been printed. Especially when paired up with this guy.
Yep, and speaking of memory, we play 1 copy of the Memory Center
OG.
TK. Yes, so he's also good to have in starting hand, as he can guarantee your 3 memories starting turn 2. Plus, you can get a feel for what's in your security. And he also lets you just take out a Patamon if it's in there, because you know Patamon's a dead card in security. You go, no, I'm going to take him out. Hopefully I recover it to something way more useful. Anything, essentially, that's not Patamon is just a good recovery. Even these guys, because if you end up grabbing a TK, you can just put them right back in since they are vaccinated.
Nice, nice, nice.
And then for text, we have 1 copy of Shu
yes.
The fact that both Rapidmon X and Magnamon X have the X antibody trait means that this can mind link with them, grab the Alliance, and if you have anything even like another Kudamon on board, you're now swinging for 2 checks. You know your Magnamon's going to get the DP from its own turn, from its all turns effects, and you're going to get the Armor Purge effect from Rapidmon X in case anything goes wrong. So if you were to swing at security, have the alliance with the Kudamon, you will be able to Armor Purge the first. Rapidmon will be able to Armor Purge the second hit if need be. But a lot of times you're going to be bigger than them anyway.
Not bad, not bad.
And that's all for the Tamers. You really only need this much, and that's if you even want to run the Shulin or the TK, but I think 4 TKs is very necessary in this deck. Just helps so much with consistency, so much value throughout the course of the game. In terms of options, we played 3-3 split of Emissary and Awakening. Your real playmakers are going into your level 6s just extremely fast. The fact that Emissary is 1 cost means that you can go from your level 3 into a level 4 with the Patamon effect for free, then go into Emissary to go into your Magnamon for 1, or if you have a Rapidmon that you vote into, you can go into Rapidmon X for 1. And just it completely bypass any memory requirements. Awakening means that your Magnamon X can be gone into with either the Rapid or the Gold V. You never need to see your level 5 if you see the Awakening.
Speaking of cheat codes.
And then we have 3 copies of Physical Training. Just great consistency booster, and it helps a lot because sometimes there'll be times where you whiff the Patamon effect, but because you have the physical training, you can still go into a Rapidmon for 2, keep your turn. Or you maybe had to Evo in the back on the turn before, and then you go into a Magnamon on your following turn, you recover, you gain the memory from Patamon, and because you only paid 1 through the training, you essentially paid nothing for that level 5 evolution. And then we played 2 copies of Heaven's Judgment for board control, because apart from this deck really doesn't have a way to clear board apart from DP minusing through stuff like the Rapidmons. And because you reached 4 procs with the Magnamon X, you essentially do a combined minus 24. And that's if you don't have something like another Rapidmon X on board to give you another proc of minus 6,000. I know a lot of people like to tech stuff here and there for this deck, but I think the best way to play this deck is just extremely straightforward. You know, instead of getting stuck on, oh, I have too many 5s, oh, I didn't see my level 6, I'm like, I'd rather be consistent in all the pieces I play and to make sure that I can see my game plan.
Yes, nothing ever really beats consistency. Unless it's more consistency.
The only thing you would maybe change is lower either a Rapid or take out the Venus for another training. But apart from that, this deck runs very smoothly. I would say the most flexible spot is probably the Magnamon Ace, but because of the TKs and the Patamons, you end up going into your 6 over a Magnamon Ace quite often throughout the course of your games. Just the fact that if you just have a Patamon as an inheritable and a TK, and you're at one member, you can still keep turn going into a Magnemon with nothing else, and then go into going into a Magna Andromon, and then going into Magna X.
Oh yeah.
Over the course of just one turn from a level 4 in Racing. And that's what I mean by consistency. The fact that you can always have a way to go straight into your game plan pretty much is the reason why this deck is built the way it is.
Not bad, not bad. So, what would you say, or what would Nick say, your hardest matchups were?
My hardest matchup? It'd probably be the NoMames.
The NoMames,
Just because,
as expected.
yeah, because if I leave something on board and they're able to do the thing with Monze X, I mean, that's it, right? Even if it's protected or not, it's gonna fucking disappear the next turn.
Yes, ye old
But that's the reason why,
implode.
in terms of that matchup, why I just stood it back.
Fair enough.
That's why, like, for me, like, the matchup feels easy, but out of the 4 that I played, it was probably the hardest one.
Yeah, I think people are too afraid of just staying in the back and paying the full evolution cost. I think once you get more comfortable doing that, you'll see a radically different gameplay emerge.
Some people, some of our watchers could even take some advice on that, because a lot of people do struggle with the NoMames matchup when it comes to using Magna X. But thank you guys for the interview. Hopefully we'll see you guys in future 3v3 events with the same team, since y'all now have a title to defend.
Oh yeah.
That being said, Questionable Plays out. This is your boy, Pete the Schmeat.